All
Hello, welcome
right.
everybody.
Thank you so much for being here. And we are back 1 year later after doing some work on ABC English. So, Andrea, take it away.
So, thank you so much. As Patsy said, this is kind of a recap of all of the things that we have done over the past years since we had a chance to bring Jen Christensen here. We'll be talking more about that in a moment. But we are celebrating all things phonics and some of the creativity that different teachers at different sites have brought to using this really, really valuable resource into their classes. So we're just going to all quickly introduce ourselves. Um, my name is Andrea Echelberger, and I work at the Robbinsdale Adult Academic Program.
My name is Erica Lehner, and I work in Bloomington at Metro South Adult Education.
Hi, I'm Nancy Bjorn Nordeen. I work at Hub Center for Lifelong Learning in St. Paul.
So if you weren't at Language and Literacy a year ago, or maybe you were and you did something else, we were able to bring the amazing Jen Christensen, who is the owner and creator of ABC English, to do a presentation. And it was the first time in the history of language and literacy, and maybe Minnesota presentations, where I got to be a bouncer at the door and I had my list of names on it for who got to come in because usually we're okay if people are fluid and decide that they want to go to a different session, but we had only a set number of seats for Jen. So we weren't able to bring her back, this time. And we're just going to be doing kind of a recap of everything that happened with ABC English. And like I said, the ways that we're using it. But we wanted to make sure that we are lifting up Jen Christensen in particular in her work, because usually it is a team of people who are writing the books or creating the resources. And this is just one pretty amazing person. All right, so talking about looking at our table of contents, here is what we are going to be talking about today. We are going to do a quick ABC English overview. We're going to briefly look at what do students say about ABC English and about phonics and the phonics instruction with ABC English in particular. And Patsy's just shared the link to that in the chat if people want to go and explore. We are going to look at 3 different programs: Robbinsdale Adult Academic Program, Hub Center, and Metro South ABE. We'll pause after each one for questions. And then at the end, we'll have a chance for people to go into breakout rooms and talk and come back for any final questions. All right, so ABC English, for those who have not had a chance to see it before, is a pretty amazing on-site repository. Um, so here's what it looks like. And we're going to be looking at the library. So just a very quick overview of what you're going to be able to see. You're going to be, if you have ABC English, there are teacher training modules that you can use. We're going to be talking a lot about systematic phonics, which has 300 plus slideshows for people to use. But also there are other resources we're not going to be digging on. So there's grammar, vocabulary, reading skills stories. I've just started using the US citizenship with EL 1, 2, and 3 students, and it is amazing. I am very, very excited about it. And then there is also a 5-minute screening tool and an ABLE test system that people can use for assessing learners. And I'm going to show just a few very quick examples so people can see what it is we're talking about. So this is what alphabet sounds group 1 looks like, with photos, sounds, chants. And it has a sample teacher script, which means you can open it up and just go. And you can see as I'm going through this, There are different ways for the instructions are for the teachers. They have things like watch and write with videos that are embedded. Um, we also have some sample stories that you can look at again, teacher scripts. And then the stories themselves. Right. So people can just get kind of a quick preview of what it is we're talking about when we are talking about the resources and the slideshows that are available in ABC English. And I'm going to share a short clip of a video, about a minute and a half, of some students of mine, where one student is actually leading other students and one of their children, two other students and one of their children through an ABC English lesson. So you can see it in action.
House.
House, very good. House. Which one?
O-U.
Oh, you. Yeah, you got it. House. 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 Yeah. Which color is in the middle?
Brown.
Brown.
And blue.
Yeah, but in the middle?
Brown.
Brown. Brown. Which one?
Second one.
Second one. Brown. Yeah? Brown. Ba. Ow. Brown. Yeah. Brown.
Okay, so rather than just seeing me show you slideshows, you can actually see some students engaging in using the ABC English resources. And we wanted to give you a brief overview, and then we wanted to give you a chance to hear from learners, what learners think about this ABC English as a resource, and in particular, the systematic phonics, and also teachers. So at my school, myself, I said, I've never seen learning happening so fast when it came to phonics. My colleague Nikki Alalde said it's like magic. Mary Thingvold, another colleague of mine, said it's so easy and learners love it. And here's a quote from a learner of mine from Liberia who had previously not had the opportunity to go to school. She said, with this new system you're using, I'm going to learn to read in a year. Salamatu, I've been in class for a long time and this is the best I've ever learned. I'm really learning how to read. And let me point out that she'd been in my class for a long time. And so she was giving me feedback on how she felt about this resource. And then here is my favorite. I'll let you decide what expletive you want to fill in there. But Camila, who's from EL6, and I was working with in the afternoon and realized that learners were struggling with decoding. And I introduced them to, said, do you want to try this resource that I use with my beginning learners? And we went through a few lessons, and this was her response. So it was very, very popular and continues to be very popular with students. And then one of my learners, level 6 learners, Lena, made a video for me talking about why she thinks this is important and why teachers should use it.
I think learning phonetic in English is very important. For me, with my experience in learning, it's not long, but I'm learning a language is very important, the pronunciation, because that's it's it's all different. The means and the significance of the word change for the pronunciation is different. I think make is the same word, but it's a different pronunciation, I think. I think the phonetic is the key for a good English.
So directly from our learners that they think this is worth spending time on. They want their teachers to spend time on this. All right, so I'm going to keep going. We're going to spend a little time talking about what is happening at the Robbinsdale Adult Academic Program in terms of using ABC English, what exactly we are doing with it. And so we have some different levels that are using ABC English. Myself, I'm the EL1-2 teacher, then EL3 and EL4 teachers, and then in the afternoon, I teach a multi-level parent class, which has EL4 through 6, and actually some of the students at this point are beyond level 6. They should be in college classes. But because they are at a school with their preschool student, they are in this class. This is what we've got. So the three teachers were doing some collaboration with our morning classes because students can move up through the levels, and we want to kind of ensure that as people are moving up, we are giving them a chance to continue using the ABC English. So something that we're all doing is we are using learner spelling books, which is mapped out very, very clearly in the instructions. I see Nancy nodding for when students are engaging in the lessons. So it's not something that you have to invent on your own. It is there. And here are some different examples of what those learner spelling books look like. And here's some examples from inside learner spelling books so that they have one book that is specific for these phonics lessons for ABC English. We can go back, we can look things up, we can use it as a reference when people are trying to figure out how to spell things. We also all have these great wall charts that are available for free on the ABC English website, or sorry, if you have your $90 a year subscription to ABC English, which let me tell you is totally worth it as somebody who has spent way more money than that on Teachers Pay Teachers out of my own pocket. They have wall charts, so we make sure that every room has the same wall chart. So as students move up through those first levels, they get the same wall charts, which includes the full alphabet. Then it also includes this vowel chart with the vowel patterns that are taught. We're all doing bi-weekly lessons. And I have a video of myself teaching a lesson, but I'm just going to go ahead and skip that because I think the student example you saw of the students was more interesting. But if you're really dying to watch a longer lesson, this will be in the slides and you can feel free to watch it. And the $90 fee is per teacher. But we do have some volunteer teachers who are using it, and we were able to email Jen, and she gave us we have 3 volunteer accounts so that volunteers can be using it online simultaneously. And she gave us a different rate, a lower rate for those volunteer accounts that aren't used as much. So $90 per teacher. There's some flexibility if you're working with volunteers and you want volunteers to have access. But again, like $90 is 3 Ventures books. So just kind of keeping it in perspective how affordable it is. So in my class, and in all the classes, we are doing those bi-weekly lessons where we are moving through one of the fast track English lessons, which takes about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on, of course, the level of the class, how quickly they are able to move through, but they're not designed to be really long lessons. They're designed to be snippet lessons where you are teaching a specific skill um, that is kind of a set aside 20 minutes phonics time. And then we are providing some other ways to explore and to use those skills that we're learning in the lessons in our theme-driven contextualized classes. So some ways that I'm in my instruction is supplementing the ABC English work is one of my soft landings that we do with learners is we practice using Bananagrams letter tiles every week where we are reviewing the words from ABC English, but we're also practicing spelling vocabulary words that we're working with from the theme, using the same skills and pointing out the patterns that we've learned in ABC English. So people are getting more practice and more exposure with it. We're also doing sight words because, we're all work with the English language, whether you're a program manager or a teacher, and you know that there are a lot of times where it doesn't follow the pattern. Um, it's a sight word, or as they're saying in K-12, and I've adapted, is heart words because you need to know it by heart. You can't sound it out. And so I have learners a list of words that are those most common sight words, and students get a chance to practice every week, drilling and practicing where one student reads and the other student listens and writes down. So it's a partner dictation work that they do to get familiar with those. We also do a lot of dialogues, these theme-based dialogues for conversation and reading practice. Where here is some examples of these theme-based dialogues that we would do. And then what we do with the dialogues is we practice reading them, we read them together, we read them in small groups. Students get a chance to really do that repeated reading to build up fluency. And then we pull out some words like, okay, let's take a look at this. What words do you hear the I sound? And so let's have people go ahead and type in the chat. What words do you see that have the short I, the I, like inside? Interview, missed. Yeah. It did. Mhm. Confident, minutes. Yes. Yep. So we'll go through and we'll break down words that have some of the patterns that we've been practicing in ABC English. We'll practice decoding and sounding them out. We will look for patterns and practice grouping words. And it's also a chance to point out some of those heart words where it doesn't match up. And then the students are able to, build that familiarity with what we learn in the ABC English lessons is reflected in those theme-based, the reading fluency, and the regular reading that we are doing. So make sure that there's a really strong connection between it. And then my colleague, Nikki Olalde, who teaches EL3, she does some different things as well, where she also has students, does more choice with her students, where they have the option to use whiteboards or letter tiles while they're doing dictation. So you have one student who's got the paper, who's doing the dictation, one student who's chosen to write, and another student who has chosen to use the letter tiles to spell. So there is that choice that students can decide how they want to practice the words, which if you went to Jamie Addleston Goldstein's really excellent session yesterday about differentiation and giving students choice and agency, like this is a perfect example of it. And here is an example of some of those word lists that Nikki uses, where she's highlighting some of the different patterns that they've worked on from ABC English. And then they're looking at words that show up in the ABC English lessons or show up in their theme-based lessons to practice doing their spelling review. So they practice spelling the words, they practice breaking them up out by syllable, which is a skill that is really stressed in the ABC English. It's taught explicitly, and students have a lot of chances to practice it. They do categorization, where there is a handout with, for example, the short vowel sounds, and students do a dictation back and forth, or they do a teacher-led dictation where they write down the word based on the sound. And then here is the last activity. Both myself and Nikki do this as well, where we'll take whatever text we're reading in class and we'll give students opportunities to practice pulling it apart and identifying the words that follow those patterns from the story, and then they can work together in partners and then, putting it back into that whole story, and giving students just lots and lots of chances to reinforce those phonics decoding skills that they're learning in the ABC English lesson. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause for questions. If anyone has any questions specifically for me that you would like to learn about. And you can feel free to unmute or pop things in the chat. Oh, the heart word list you prefer and why? Oh, Janice, that's such a good question. Let's hold that one for the end because I'm going to have to go back and look to see where exactly I found my heart word list. But what I did do is I found a list of common sight words, and then I identified, and if I'll find this list and I'll share a link to it in the chat. I actually put a heart on the words that are heart words. So it's one of those most common lists of words. And so when students are doing the dictation practice, if there's a heart on it, they know that they have to just remember it. It's a heart word. But if it doesn't have a heart on it, that means that it's a word that can be sounded out. And so it's a visual for the person who is doing the dictation as well. So I will locate it and share that in the chat. Oh, so how high of a reading level do you think this program would still work for? Well, it goes up to level 4. And I started with the fast track English, which starts with short vowel sounds with level 6 learners. And that's where we got the swearing about how good the program was. And when I first started teaching it, I was teaching it in a class where I had EL 1-2 learners who had very high verbal skills, but low literacy skills because of limited access to education before, with students who had advanced degrees in their home language, but because they were higher level, hadn't done phonics practice and hadn't done the ABC English practice. And my EL 1-2 students were smoking the EL 6 students when it came to being able to hear the different short vowel sounds and decode because they had been doing the ABC English. And that's when the EL 6 students were like, we want to use this. We would like to use this. So I think you can use it for any level. There's a lot of students who just haven't, even if they're very high, haven't been explicitly taught it. Yes, the ABC English readers are great for reading practice. You can use them just as the text that you're doing repeated readings and fluency on, and then it's really easy to have them pull out the words with those different patterns. So yeah, the ABC English readers are a great online resource. There's a question for how to build learning reflection in. I think the notebooks are great for this because when you have the notebook, they can literally go back and they can see how much they have learned. Um, and something that I'm trying and I'm still working on it is I use WhatsApp for my class. And I've started to ask students to take pictures of writing that they do and then send me the picture so that we can have essentially a WhatsApp digital record of their writing that they do and how they're able to write and spell more accurately as we go throughout the year. With the idea that then when we sit down and do conferences, I can pull up my phone and I can just look at that WhatsApp and show them on the WhatsApp, like, here's how you were writing, in January, and look, now we're in March, and look how much more you're writing. Um, I am just starting this, so I don't want to say it works great because it is a pilot program. But that's something that I'm trying to do because I tried to do digital portfolios with Google Drive and it was too much work for me. And this is just a snap a picture, send me a message. Um, and then students are in their EL1, 2, EL3, or EL4 class. So my group of teachers were not testing students and putting them in different levels based on their phonetic ability. They're getting tested by their reading comprehension. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to the next presenter from Hub Center and mute myself. And we are right on time.
Thank you, Andrea. That is a really good introduction to ABC English. I love it. This is my second year using the curriculum. I got to train with Jennifer Christensen when she was here. I'm a big fan. Whenever we have a question during the presentation, we say, well, teacher Jennifer says to do it this way. And then we just move on. So nobody has to be an expert in phonics to start using this curriculum. It's all set up, and I'm learning more every time I do a lesson. So I hope that um, Patsy, it did not work to mute my phone. Shoot.
Uh-oh, I'm sorry.
I hope that doesn't happen again. I'm sorry, everybody. Okay, so the first thing that I would like to show you, if you'll advance the screen, is the ABLE test. And why aren't there any words there? The ABLE test is something that I would like to encourage you to use if you're not doing it already. My colleagues at Hub Center, I think Justina Sparrow is here, and Janice Bish is here, and Ann Nervig is here. We are exploring how to use the ABLE test to help us to level learners even within level 1 or level 2. This is not the ABLE test. It's a practice that I developed that looks like the ABLE test so that learners have an idea of what we're going to be asking them to do. Am I cutting out?
Nope,
So the
you're
first
great.
section, thank you. The first section of an ABLE test asks students to identify the sounds of the consonants, followed by several sections of consonant vowel consonant blends. And then there's a few sight words sentences in the third section. It's normed on a scale of 100. For level 1, if you score 80 and above, you have completed the level and we can celebrate students' progress with a certificate. Janice Bish and I test learners, and based on their score, we might level our classes a little bit lower and a little bit higher, even though we're both supposed to be teaching level A. That's been really helpful. If you go to the next slide, I just wanted to mention that something new this year is that our level 2 teachers are using some of the curriculum. Can you go back one? And Janice and I have a shared phonics hour. And I was remembering Jen Christensen telling us about using your volunteers to flood the zone. And we haven't gone quite that far, but Janice and I have been sending our learners back and forth between classrooms so that she can focus on learners who need a slower pace and more focus on just the consonant sounds and the short vowel sounds. And students who come to my classroom for that literacy hour every day can move forward a little bit more swiftly. So ABC English has gotten great support in our building, and we're really thankful for that. And I hope to see more and more teachers using it as we go forward. Something I want to encourage you to look at is how easy it is to plan. This photo on the left is an image from one of the slideshows that is all prepped, and you're just advancing slide after slide after slide. But typically, the end of the lesson then prompts you to go ahead and practice using the textbook. We have a set of textbooks in our classroom. Students open up the yellow book, we go to page 2 and 3, and then we see exactly the same information, but we can practice it with the teacher and then hopefully build into pairs practice at the table. If you don't have a set of books in your classroom, what's really nice is that your subscription to ABC English comes with a printable student packet that gives you like the first 30 pages or the first 10 lessons. So you're getting the consonant sounds, a lesson on the short vowel sounds, and then 5 more lessons with blending consonant vowel consonant patterns. So the students do have something that they can hold in their hands, take home, bring back every day, and take some pride and ownership over how they're progressing through the lessons. Um, Something that's really important for success in phonics instruction is that students understand how they're progressing and that they're able to take some ownership over their learning. So um, I'm working to build um, um, routines in classroom that help the students to sort of mimic what we're doing in the large group together with their partner. So after we've done the slideshow, we open up the textbook and we go through a set of instructions like match. I'm holding up a letter and they're pointing to it in their textbook. Then we do listen and point. I say B and they're pointing to the letter sound B. I say baby, they're pointing to the picture baby. Then we look at the pictures and we write the sound that goes with that picture. In order to do that, we might cover the top of this page that you're looking at. And in my notebook, I'm writing number 1, and I'm going to show how I can write the letter that goes with that picture of the mama and the baby. If they don't want to do it in their notebooks, maybe we can trace on our hands or doing tall down, roll around. And finally, on the second page, there's lines of text, and students are reading that to their partner. If they are able to then replicate all of those instructions in their small groups, that allows me, frees me up to circulate and go ahead and listen in. It's your turn now. Please read to me line 1, line 2. Usually, if we get through 2 lines of text, I can hear all of the sounds in the target lesson, and I'm able to give them some feedback on their progress and move on to the next learner. Jess was asking about ways to help learners reflect, and I agree that the spelling books are a really good way to do that. If you're not using the fast track lessons, something that Janice Bish and I like to do is to use our building wide scale. We use this scale of 1 to 4 throughout the program, and we've adapted it to include emojis and a shortened descriptor of what each number means. The first one is a 1, the student is confused and they don't understand. The second one, the student's eyes are looking around for some help. And the third one is, a happy face means I'm confident I can do this skill. We don't give out a lot of 4s, but 4s are for students who are quite fluent or can produce the skill without outstanding ease, I guess, and also students who then might be able to be used as a teacher or a partner to lead a small group, like Andrea's student was doing in the video. Students like that are real leaders, and I can't imagine how our programs could progress if we could get all of the students to understand that they know how to teach someone else how to identify the letters and the sounds that go with them in the English alphabet. So the work that we're doing is really motivating for me. This assessment is something that we would give learners at the beginning of the month, and we'd ask them how they feel about their progress on the particular skill. If you go to the next one, this is the follow-up going into the last quarter. Janice and I were moving from consonant sounds and isolated vowels to the blends lessons. And so just to give students an idea of what I was asking them to think about, I put together the graphic that's on the left-hand side. And that's one way that learners can be gauging their progress through the lessons. If you go to the next slide, the other way that we do it is if the teacher is listening. So I use the same scale, but if I want to check mastery of alphabet sounds 1, I'm going to circulate or pull the student out and listen to them, and I can give them a score on the scale. If they get a 1 or a 2, I'm going to ask them to review and check back with me later. If they get a 3 or a 4, they're able to move on to the next lesson, which is alphabet sounds 2. They might review with a partner, they might review in a pullout with a volunteer. Maybe my volunteer is leading the presentation and I can do a pullout. Another thing that I'm exploring is putting some lessons online so learners who need it could access just a one-on-one video with me where I'm holding up the materials in the student alphabet book and we're just going through our whole routine together one more time. And when the student feels like they've had enough practice, we can circle back around and do another assessment. That alphabet book that you can download, I have them printed centrally. It costs about $1.15 per book. The students like to have that. In the back of the book, I print this additional page that changes all the time. Janice Bish and I have been just working on it together for the last 2 years, modifying it so that it makes sense to us. And it really only needs to make sense to us and the learners, but there's potential here for it to be adapted to make good sense for you too. This is how I'm able to see where students are at. And because of open enrollment and because of students stopping in and stopping out, having this tracker in the back of the book shows me that maybe the student has done that first lesson, B, C, D, G, H, F, G, H. And when the teacher listened to them, they had a 2. So I know that I can sit them together with another student who's working on that same lesson and they can practice together. I could pair them with a student who's already achieved a 3 or a 4 on that level so that they can help them to practice before I listen again. Maybe they've missed a lesson altogether. That's a good opportunity for me to pull 3 or 4 students who all need alphabet sounds 1.2. We can pull up the slides and do some reteaching as needed. And that's one way for students to learn to help each other. They're looking at their tracker and we're trying to practice, what do you need? I need lesson 3. Okay, how can I help you with lesson 3? And then just finding their way in the book to those pages that correspond to that lesson. Those are some of the ways that I'm trying to manage the multi-level aspect of the learners at Hub Center and the open enrollment that we're facing. I see lots of potential for individualized learning and review by using technology to improve our access to self-paced learning. I don't have a lot more to say about that, but I've been trying. I can stop here for questions or talk just a little bit about Fast Track. Something I just think everybody should know is where it is. If you could show the next slide. this is the systematic phonics library, and level one is where I'm working with my level A students. But the fast track is available on the right-hand side of that screen. And we have a 2 hour block of ELL literacy where students from level one and level two come together for extra reading instruction. Students who want more or may have some gaps in their learning can come and work through these lessons and fast track with me together. I was inspired by what I heard Andrea and her colleagues were doing at Robbinsdale, and I have been loving this. The one thing that wasn't working for me was the notebook. The notebooks were too small for my learners. They needed more space. It was also, if you can advance to the next slide, um, just too much to keep organized. And so, Andrea, can you show the so the magic spelling book that Andrea uses is probably a smaller one. I just printed it out in large paper. And if you move to the next slide, I'll show you how it compares. I'm pre-printing the graphic organizer that goes with that lesson to help my learners just stay a little bit more on track and have a little bit more confidence starting the lesson so that it's not taking so long to get started when we do it. Because the pages are numbered and the lessons are numbered, it's really easy for us to go back and see when someone has missed a lesson and look for opportunities for them to make up that work. I went a little bit over, but I've got a minute for questions if anybody has one.
I have a question for you. Can you just say a little bit more about the difference between the fast track and the four levels and how
Yeah.
you use that? Is the fast track a higher level than the others, or it just moves through content more quickly?
Yeah, it's faster pace. If you don't mind going back 2 slides to where you can see the fast track content, 3 slides. On the left-hand side, F.0 says Introduction to English Spelling, and then F.1 says 5 short vowel sounds. That's about the first 4 lessons in level one, or maybe even a little bit of the consonant vowel consonant blends in level one. And then it moves on. F.2 is the long vowel sounds. There are only 2 long vowel sounds introduced in level one, the double E and the double O for long U and long E. So yeah, and then also much more advanced things. What I like about Fast Track is that these lessons look to be, I haven't seen a lot of level two yet, but when students are getting bored or if I need to fill time, I'm starting to look at level two and pulling out, this isn't a live link, so we can't look at level two, but there might be a lesson on a couple of the spellings of long A that I can go back in and use as a review tool.
Thank you.
You mentioned doing some like videos for maybe some asynchronous learning.
Yeah.
Um, can you tell us more about that, or you're not really far enough to say much?
So I'm really excited about the Modern Classrooms project, which is some professional development that's available to everybody. It is meant to address the needs of our learners who are in class regularly, they're on pace, and they're moving with the curriculum, as well as the learners who are a little bit behind, the learners who are a little bit ahead, and the learners who are not there. Doing self-paced asynchronous learning through videos allows every student to come into the classroom and find the lesson that they need when they need it. So if I'm working on the first 4 lessons of ABC English, for example, I've been trying to build that out as a self-paced module. So these 2 students need lesson one, and these ones need lesson two. How do I keep them working at the place that they need? Well, I can give them a QR code or organize a lesson in Google Classroom so that they would ideally be working like I don't have it set up quite right, but like if we had places or stations for students to be listening to headphones with a splitter. But basically, what I've done is I've recorded my lesson for Alphabet Sounds 1.2, and students could access that in real time. There's a presentation piece and a practice piece for each of those lessons. And their Modern Classrooms project encourages you to make videos that are only for your students. So it's one take They're not polished. It's just this is what I would be teaching if I was standing in front of you right now. I'm going to record it so that you can access it when you need it.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Thanks, everybody. I'll
Okay.
pass it over to Erica.
Thanks, Nancy, and thanks, Andrea. It's really fun to hear what you both are doing in your classrooms. Some of it's the same and some of it's different. And I love how adaptable it is to whatever your program happens to be. So our program has 3 levels that are using ABC English. The lowest is our beginning literacy. And this really is learning to write ABC and the beginning consonant sounds, and it gets a bit into the short vowel sounds, EE and OO. The next level there, the ESL low and high beginning literacy, that's my class. We review short vowel sounds and we are starting to get into the long vowel sounds. There's a little bit of an assumption that you've at least got your consonants down. And then the next level, ESL low intermediate, is a step above me. And you can see that that's CASA scores 190 to 198. So we're getting a little more advanced there. There are 3 of us that teach those 3 levels. And then Rebecca Jarvis has helped out some in our group, and Bridget Tully has been a part of our group. She teaches only on Saturdays. So she's really had to tweak this to make a 1 day a week kind of lesson. So there's about 4 ways, though, that across the board we're collaborating. And we have decided to use the learner notebooks, and we've adapted them to try and make do with the situation. That first book you see there, it has a Post-it with a student's name on it. Because of people stopping in and stopping out, we didn't want to give students the notebook to keep and take home and then never maybe bring back. So we're using Post-its for names. And the idea is that they would carry them through all the levels of classes. And after they're finished with the 3rd class, they get to keep the notebook. If they stop out, we might take the Post-it off and still continue to use that notebook in a fresh way. The second picture is an example similar to the ones that you've seen Andrea and Nancy use, where they're writing the words that they're learning with those short vowel sounds. And then the third picture, because students are sometimes there, sometimes not there, I have been gluing in a page for the learners that missed that lesson. And then when we circle back and review, they can write their words in on that page so that they still have the short vowel page, even though they might have missed that lesson. I can go to the next slide. Okay, another way that we're collaborating is we're working hard to have similar language amongst the teachers, which is really fun. The first example you'll see there, they've got the A-E-I-O-U, and Jen Christensen has these words that go with letters that you say over and over again. A is apple, is elephant. She goes so far as to not only have the sounds, but there are hand motions that go with the sound where the sound is produced in your mouth. And we are trying to be consistent about using those words so that they can really get a sense of how to hear that. And it's been really fun. As the lower level students have moved up to my class, I'll pull out a paper and right away they're on it. Oh, that's apple, apple. No, 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 that's elephant. It's elephant. And that's really fun. You heard, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Andrea or Nancy talked about this writing system where it says tall down, roll around. As we work on penmanship, we're trying to use the same words for how to write letters to reinforce that letter writing. We've talked a lot about the speed and ease which students write. and working towards helping them have a smoother ability to write and not need to think so hard about letter formation. And then the last thing that Jen has that I really like is this idea of, you'll see the CK there, 2 letters, 1 sound. And then over there on the word light, 3 letters, 1 sound. And I think that helps them to learn the patterns. When they get used to saying, oh, it's 3 letters, but 1 sound, they notice IGH and they're not pronouncing new words as lagihite. Oh, 3 letters, 1 sound, that's light. 2 letters, 1 sound, that's k. If you go to the next slide, you will see these Elkonin squares. Hit the arrow one more. There you go. The Elkonin squares are really fun, and the 2 letters, 1 sound really ties into this. You'll see there's an S in one box, an I in one box, and a CK in another box. And this really helps them think through, how many sounds am I hearing and how am I going to write that? We've slid the Elkonin squares into these page protectors so that they can use dry erase markers with them. And it's become a bit of a game. It's easy for me to see who's got it. And when someone has it wrong, I'll erase it on the board. Like if they wrote an O instead of an I there, I'll say, okay, I see some people have SOCK. O is ah, like October. So how would we say it if we spell it SOCK? And that's sock, it's sock. And it becomes a race to figure out who can say it first. It's really fun. I think they like the kinesthetic aspect of it. Okay, next slide. Similar to the others, we are all using word sorts. And so they just get used to this idea that we can slot words into similar kinds of words. This is an example from Paula Gutterson, a story that they read called On the Bus. And you can see they've sorted all the ah and all the I and all the ah. And the next example of a word sort is from my class, a little bit more difficult. In the poster, the AEIOU poster, I had one of my volunteers copy all of the pictures for the short vowel sounds and then the words. And when we did stations in our class at this station, first they had to sort just the picture, looking only at the picture, what column does it go in? Then they had to look through the words and pair it with the picture. And all of the groups did that, and then we glued it in at the end so that we can have it hanging in our classroom. So sometimes it's, not quite done. It's kinesthetic like that. Sometimes it's like the frog one there, frog class clip, and you have to sort the consonant plus the R and the consonant plus the L. And then the last example of sorting, this is an example from Mary's class. So she's the intermediate level. She will show a picture like this cat, and she will ask the class, okay, is it CAT, CIT, COT? And they have to decide which one it is. And then she has them holding, you can go ahead, holding a grid there to decide where to sort those in. And she'll just show a couple of those a day. And for the most part, we are similar in that we're doing 2 phonics lessons each week. But Paula's lower level class does a much longer phonics lesson. It's a bigger part of her hour. And Jen Christensen has a great, like almost a minute by minute, how to make a whole class period lesson on this spelling concept. So those are the ways that we're collaborating, but sometimes you just get tired of word sorts. And so we have started creating, and these next slides are some things we've created. Hit the arrow again and you'll see the links there, Andrea. There you go. So this first story, these were both made with AI. The first example is a story about Lehner, and it incorporates a thematic lesson plus short vowel sounds that we've been working on. And if you click the link that says example 1, people will be able to see the worksheet that comes up there. Yeah, so there you'll see the chat GPT prompt that I put in. And then below that, we have our script. They had to go through and circle the S plus a consonant words and then write all of those words. So it really incorporated thematic lesson plus our vowel sounds and our consonant sounds. The second story on the slide, we used Gemini Storybook to create. And so you can put, yeah, here's a little audio. Oh, it's maybe having trouble with the audio. That's okay.
The bus is big and red. Pam is at childcare. She helps a kid. The kid is Lynn. Ben is at the gas station. He has a tan van.
So linked in the comments, you can see the prompt we used, but it's really fun. You can tell Storybook, use these short vowel words, use this theme, make a story, and it comes with pictures and it will read it. Then we used screen recordings to make a video of it that we could link to computer lessons. All right, the next sample, you can feel free to use your chat box for this. We used Canva AI to make some pictures like a seek and find. So these we can project on the whiteboard or stick in one of those page protector sleeves and say, okay, look at the picture with your partner. How many short vowel words can you find? So if you look at that first picture, go ahead and put in the chat box, what short vowel words are you finding when you look at the pictures? Box, hat, cup, pig. Log, truck. Egg. Great. Yeah. This is fun. It's short. You could have it on the screen as students are coming in, and it could just become a part of your class routine. I'm coming in, I open my notebook, I write the date, I write the words I can find. You'll notice if you look long enough, sometimes the pictures are a little funky, like there's a chicken with a fox tail at the top, and they're a little weird, but it works, it's fun, and it's cheery. And then another AI trick that I've been doing is tongue twisters. So I put in this Gemini prompt, make a tongue twister with the words cake, lake, take, and make. Gemini gave me, make Blake take the lake cake, then take the cake Blake makes by the lake. That was a little hard, so I simplified it to make Jake bake a cake and take it to the lake. We had so much fun practicing the sounds with a tongue twister. We said it as a class, we said it to our partners, we took a picture of it with our phone, they took it home to try as homework. It's something small that you can just keep reinforcing those vowel sounds with when you've got your two focused lessons, but these are just small things you can work in between other activities. And then just to end on a fun note, the last thing I have done is I've used an app called Suno.com, and Suno will make a song. So you can tell Suno, we want a song with these words in this style, and this is what you get.
Step into the class, glass on the window pane. Plum dreams in my heart, learning starts again. Plan on a blackboard, flag waving up high. Slip through each new word.
It's linked if you want to listen to the whole thing. It's fun. You can listen a couple times together and say, hey, how many words can you catch? Let's see if we can write them. Then you can pull out the lyrics and circle them. The trickier part is saying, don't worry about what it means so much. because sometimes they want to know what is a plum goal, and it just is not worth your time to explain it. So that's some of what we're doing at Metro South, and hopefully it'll give you some good ideas. I know Nancy and Andrea have they've done the hard work. They've fielded most of the toughie questions. Yeah, that's great. I'm going to turn it over to you, Andrea.
Hey, I just love how three of us are using the same exact resources, and you can see how we're using them in completely different ways. And was saying when we were doing a rehearsal, I'm like feeling so inspired. I want to do more of this. Well, we are going to go ahead. We're going to do a small group discussion right now. And so, Patsy, looking at the time, why don't we do 8 minutes? So just giving people a chance to connect and talk about what you have heard and what you've seen. So what are your impressions of ABC English? How could you use this resource in your class and or your program? How could you collaborate on teaching phonics across levels? And what do you want to learn more about? And maybe you are already using this and you want to share what you have been doing that you find to be really exciting. So yeah, we'll do a quick about 8 minutes and then we'll come back for some final questions and we're going to get ended right on time today.
Sounds good. All right, I have those rooms created and your questions for discussion are in the chat. We'll see you in just a couple minutes here. Well, more like 8 minutes. Bye. All right, welcome back, everyone.
Okay, so just want to use the last 3 minutes of our time together to see if anyone has any final questions. And I realize my email address is the only one on the slide. So maybe Nancy and Erica, if you are comfortable, you could pop your email addresses in the chat if people have specific questions for you about some of the tools that you're using or the routines that you're doing, because they were so excellent. And I am feeling very inspired to get back to my teaching and start to use some of those creative and really organized and systematic tools that the two of you are using. So any final questions for any of us about the tool or about the techniques that we talked about, the activities that we shared?
Well, I don't have a question. I just want to say, Andrea, I saw your part of the presentation and I am just inspired to I have used students to, students teaching other students in the past, and I've kind of fallen away a little bit, but seeing you do that, it's like, okay, here's a new add-on for ABC English. Okay, we can do this. So thank you for that.
Awesome, thank you. Oh,
Andrea, I wonder if you'd want to stop sharing so people can just come on camera here as
oh,
we
sure.
finish the conference. And of course, you're welcome to continue asking questions. If people want to come on camera, this is our last little moment together, you guys.
Oh, I see a
We've got
baby.
visitors. I know every conference needs a baby. Thank you for bringing one. Excellent. Oh, it's nice to see you all. And for sure,
Oh,
if people have additional questions or comments, words of wisdom for the online implementers we get from our good neighbor in South Dakota. What do you think, Andrea?
I think if for people who are moving to online or high flex, ABC English is pretty phenomenal for that. It's designed to be used in person or online specifically. Also, if people want to make more use of volunteers, ABC English is someone you can give them an overview and a sample lesson, and then people can take it and go because the instructions are in there. You don't have to spend 20 minutes explaining it to them. The instructions are built in. So it's an amazing way for volunteers to be able to use it and be able to independently teach as well. So
I just wonder, and not to put y'all on the spot, that if any of the presenters or those of you who are teaching it online would be willing to have visitors, like, is it possible for someone to lurk and kind of see how you're doing it? Because I think that would be particular, like, it's easier to see it than to hear people talk about it. Is that anyone open to that?
I am Erica and Nancy. How about the two of you?
I'm always
Um,
welcoming in-person visitors. I don't teach online.
yeah,
In
I'm
person
not
is also
online either.
good. Sorry, I cut
You're,
you off, Erica. What were you
I'm
saying?
not online either, but you're
Mhm.
welcome to come. I'll out my colleague who's on this call. Paula Gunderson is, in my opinion, the guru at our program. And so
Okay.
her
Paula, we see
class
you.
is worth going to.
We are a great team and we work very well together. We support each other. So I think all of us would be open to having people come and help.
That's great. Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate it. People are teaching in all sorts of innovative ways these days, online, high flex, asynchronous, etc. So it's fun to see how people are making this particular kind of vast array of materials work for them. So thank you. I don't see any other questions, and we are at time. So with that, I will close the recording. But everyone, like, wave at the camera. Bye. Leave at that cute baby we got.